Hello there, good afternoon. Monday 30th of August 2020. This is our 4pm movement snack. It's our sway and stretch. If you got off the catch-up coach, then welcome. If this is the one you want, stick around. We'll get into it in a few moments. You can skip through the preamble if you want to, or you can stay and listen and join in the fun. Alternatively, if it's not the one you want, then pop back on the coach and take the next stop. You'll find them all on our Facebook group. That's where you can find them under photos, or if you're on a laptop or a desktop, under media, and then videos, and that's where you'll find everything. Right, I'm going to leave you there, get a pop across and say hello to our live people as they come on board. So good afternoon. I think that might be Ken who's first through the door this afternoon. Good afternoon, Ken. Yes, it is. Good to see you, ready for your triple. Gillian Hillier is in, afternoon from a cloudy Port Talbot. I think it's been cloudy there all day, hasn't it? It's a little bit overcast here still. We haven't had any rain, which is good. The washing's been okay. And what else have I been up to? Well, I've been preparing for another session later on this afternoon, doing some work on my computer. Post box is finished. I just need to let it completely dry and then buff it, and then we're sorted. Christine Perry, good afternoon to you. Welcome along. Good to see you with us. And Carol Kent, good afternoon to you. Third snack for the day. Yeah, I'm ready and raring to go. This is number 3. So you've got Kelsey with you tomorrow from 4 o'clock for your 4 o'clock snacks. You've got Bex on 12 o'clocks this week. She's back. And you've got me on at 8 a.m.s. So we're just going to do one we've done before this afternoon as far as our sway is concerned, and then Kelsey is going to give you a new routine starting tomorrow to build throughout the week. So that's where we start as far as this is concerned. Now listen, this is our 4 o'clock snack, so if you're watching live, brilliant. If you're watching on catch up, then as I say, welcome along. Drop us a comment in, let us know you've been in. Always good to know we've got people in with us as well. I think that's Vivian, I can see, who's popped up as well. So good afternoon to you, Vivian. And Mrs. Perry is in. Yes, we've got Mrs. P who's in the house. So listen, as we come around to that 4 o'clock, we'll get ourselves ready to go, shall we? This is our sway and stretch. This is our 3-dimensional movements section. This is where we focus on movements of more than one dimension, and we do those naturally throughout the day. But this is an opportunity to really focus onto them, to encapsulate the movements that we make in everyday life, and for us to practice those, for the brain to practice and muscle memory to be brought about. Okay, we're at 4 o'clock, so if you want to lose the comments on the bottom of your screen, you can swipe them to the right and there. Gone. If you're on a tablet or a phone, if you're on your laptop or a desktop, they stay in the bottom corner. It's time for our 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along. You're with Dave Montgomery from Later Life Training. Today is Monday, the 30th of August 2021, and this is our 4pm movement snack. It's our sway and stretch, so our 3-dimensional movements and our stretching. As always, we can do it in a standing or we can do it in a seated position. I've relocated upstairs because we've got visitors around at the moment. Let's make sure we've got space around us firstly. There's nothing that's going to cause us any issues. And here's my twin, look, coming in over here. Look, you see my twin? Hello, twin. We've got nothing that's going to cause us any problems around. So I've got my fixed external support, which is my mantelpiece. Not my mantelpiece, this is a banister, that's what it's called. Hello, we've got my door frame here. Make sure there's nothing that's going to cause us any issues. There's nothing I can step on. Make sure I've got sensible, comfortable footwear on. Go with the flow as far as the movement is concerned. And what I mean by that is, if you want to have a look at it first and then think, actually, I will do it this way, or I won't put the feet on it, I'll just stay with the hands, then that is your prerogative. That's what it's all about. This is about finding the things that work for you and taking those on board. Let's have a look at our posture. So in our standing position, we've got our heels in line with our knees in line with our hips, and a lifted and lengthened extension of the upper body, bringing the shoulders up, back and down. As we come down into a seated area, I've got a stool with me this afternoon because I haven't got a chair up here. But with your seat, you bring your back off the chair, and then from there it's a lift and a shift to bring ourselves into the front third of the chair. Once we're sat here, it's a case of lining everything up again, shoulders up, back and down, and starting with our circulation boosting. So getting the feet moving. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Regular, controlled, flowing movements is what we're looking at. Using our support in standing if we need to. And then from there, making it a bit of a bigger movement. So lifting the foot off the floor to actually start to point the toes down a little bit, gives us that movement within our ankle joint, gives us that ability to have some movement that's bigger than it was before. But in seated, if this starts to feel a little bit fatiguing as far as your hip flexors are concerned, we can bring it back down, or we can take that little side tap or a heel dig. It's a bigger movement. In standing, we can see that we've got that movement there, and I've got my support to the side if I need it. Can you see how we can start to point the toes down towards the floor? So that then gives us this ability to get some mobilization down into our ankle joints. Popping an arm in as well, driving the elbow backwards. Now in standing and in seated, if in standing we're not using support, we've got the ability to just change hands to the other side, and seated is exactly the same. If we are using support and the support is in front of us, we've got the ability to pop the hand down, bring the other one off and take up that other hand movement there. If the support is to the side of us, however, then it's going to be a case of coming to a pause, taking as many steps as we need to change ourselves to the other side, and then off we go on the other side with our support on the other side. Seated and standing, if we feel steady and stable, then we can take it into both arms, both legs at the same time, giving us that bigger movement from an overall body perspective. And this enables us to get that heart rate up, and that's what we're aiming to do, is to increase the heart rate. Get the heart pumping a little bit faster, so we're pumping that blood around, breathing a little bit heavier, so we're getting the oxygen into the body, and we're starting to mobilise and warm the body, ready for the activity we're about to do. We're looking at around about 2.5 to 3 minutes, and then after that we start to make it a bit of a smaller movement, bringing it back down, and then bringing it to a pause. At this point, we may want to take a deep breath. Right, let's have a look at our sway movement for this afternoon then. So, I want you to take your hands, and I'm going to come in close so you can see this. It's like this here, look, as if you're holding 2 little eggs in your hand. Okay, so we've got 2 chucky eggs in our hands, and the movement is a bit of a cyclical movement. So it's this movement here coming in, around and out, trying to keep it roughly about the same level. So it's not a big move, it's not this sort of movement, yeah? It's a forward and in towards us, forward and in towards us, with those fingers as if we're holding those 2 eggs. Now, if you're using support and it's to the side of you, then you can do one hand at a time, change your support to the other side, and then bring the other hand in. If it's in front, then exactly the same. What you could also do if you just wanted to stay with hands is bring this movement here, so you actually lean yourself against your support. So you've got the support behind you, and that enables you to do both hands. Feet are about shoulders width apart, so we've got that good base of support. But we're going to change that in a moment as we go into our feet. Now seated, exactly the same again. And it's worth saying here that this is this low movement. We're not coming up to shoulder height, it's down here, mid-region. So hopefully that's within our range of motion for all of us. But remember, I'm coming quite far forward, but if that is a smaller movement for you, then that is a smaller movement. Right, feet wise, let's take a step forward. So can you see how I've got a bit of a staggered stance? So if I step with my feet about shoulders width apart and then take 1 foot forward, I've got this staggered stance, okay? And we're going to shift the weight onto the front leg and shift the weight onto the back leg. Now you'll see I've got a bit of a diagonal motion happening there, okay? So I'm not just shifting forwards and backwards, I'm shifting across in a diagonal line as well. Now in seated, we can do exactly the same. We take that bit of a staggered stance, and it's the hinge of the hip that brings us that motion, yeah? And we'll feel through our bottom how that bottom is interacting with the chair, that we've got that shift of weight from one side to the other, and that's what we're looking at. That's what we're trying to achieve, that shift of weight across and back. Now, if you're using support and it's to the side of you, then don't come too far away from that support and keep it there. Now I've got my support here, so I'm fairly close into my support. I'm not taking too big a step. So as I shift my weight forward, I'm not coming too far away from my support. And what I also want to do is make sure that if I'm doing that, my support is in front of me. So as I shift forward, I'm coming in line shoulder-wise with my support. I'm not going further forward behind it, because then my support becomes ineffective because it's behind me. Yeah? Let's put the two parts of that together. So we've got that staggered stance. Bring our hands in, and the two motions go together. So as we shift the weight forward, we bring the hands forward, and then we bring them back in. So forward and back. And if I take this into a side stance for you, you can see this movement here. So I've got this side stance here, bringing the movement forward and back. Forward and back. And we've got that motion through the shoulders and through the arms. And we've got that shift of weight from the front leg to the back leg and vice versa. With this movement happening forward and backwards. Okay, let's leave it there for today. Have a look at our stretches. So we're going to go into the back of our calf first, so into our lower leg. So with my support in front of me, I'm going to take a big step back. Toe down, heel down, toes pointing in the same direction, and it's bend of that front knee to lean into it, and you'll see that the body stays straight from my head down to my heel. That's in standing. In seated, what we're going to do is extend the leg away in front. Sitting tall, we ease the heel away a little bit more, we bring the toes in towards us, and that gives us that stretch. So in standing or seated, set yourself up, away you go, holding that stretch for around about 12 to 20 seconds. And remember, we should feel it, but there shouldn't be any pain. So we shouldn't feel anything down there pain-wise, but we should feel that lengthening of the muscle. And then ease out of it and bring the foot back in, whether it's in standing or seated. Take the other leg out and set it up again. If you're using support to the side of you, then change your support to the other side. If you have the ability to use it in front of you, that is going to be the easiest for you. Take the leg out in standing, lean forward by bending the knee, and in seated, ease the heel away. Bring the toes in. Feel that lengthening down through the back of the leg. All the time we're keeping this upright, tall position in seated. We've still got the lifted position in standing, remember, but we're allowing the body to lean. So we're not staying upright, we're just allowing the upper body to lean with it. There's no hinge at the hips, the whole body leans. Release and bring that foot in. Let's take it into the back of the thigh now, and in seated it starts exactly the same. However, you release the foot down towards the floor. Now we're sitting tall, but we're going to sit that little bit taller and then hinge at our hip to bring that stretch into the back of the thigh. In standing, we've got the same motion. So if I come here with my support in front of me again, I've got the leg forward, I'm standing tall, I'm going to stand that a little bit taller and then hinge at the hip. And if the support was to the side, it would be exactly the same. So set yourself up, bring that stretch on, and then after a few seconds, as you feel it start to settle in a little bit, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, try and take it a little bit further. So in standing, push the bottom way a little bit more. In seated, hinge a little further forward. Just feel that stretch coming back on. Think about doing your socks, pulling your socks up, doing your shoes up, all those sorts of actions, yeah? Unhinge, bring the foot back in, and change it to the other side. Now, if you're not using support, it's exactly the same. Hinging from the hip. Hands-wise, we can place them on our hips, or we can place them on this back leg. Just don't place them on this front one. Don't put any pressure down through that front knee. And again, that breath in, out, and a bit further if you can. Just feel that lengthening. And then release out. Stepping in, have a little march shoe with those feet. From there, let's take the hands in front, put one hand inside the other, push your way in front, and feel stretch across the top of the bag. And then if you feel comfortable with it, just lower your head slightly so your gaze is coming underneath your hands about 6 foot in front of you. Exactly the same in our seated position. And this lengthens the muscles at the top of our back. And then from there, release. Bring the hands behind into the small of the back. Now, you've either got the hands with the palms facing inwards or facing out, whichever feels more comfortable for you. And in seated, we've got a further option. We can take the hands onto the side of the chair behind our bottom. The movement's exactly the same in standing or seated. We lift that chest and we draw the shoulders back, and that opens up this rib cage at the top. So we get that extension across through the rib cage, across through the top of the chest. Again, 20 seconds as a max. and then release out. From there, let's have a little roll of those shoulders, and that's where we leave it. Start to get a bit raucous downstairs, I can hear. So that is our snack for this afternoon. A short and sweet one for you today. That's me done with your 3 snacks for today. I'll be back with you tomorrow at 8 a.m, bright and breezy in the morning. Plenty of opportunities still for you to crowbar in additional movements, so get extra minutes into the rest of your day. Stay active, stay mobile, stay crowbarring, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Toodle pips, everybody.